Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Carr. I'm from Providence College's Division of Marketing and Communications, and this is Owen Bligh, PC's Dean of Admission. Today, we're talking about admission, the admission process, and the class of 2028, the group of students who will begin college studies this coming fall. Owen, you've just sent the decision letters for the regular admission applicants. What are your observations in general of the class of 2028?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me this afternoon. I think a few things come to mind with the class of 2028 and those who are considering whether they want to enroll at Providence in the fall. And I think similar to many years, the overarching theme that comes to mind is just how talented these students are and the number of ways in which they exhibit that talent. Obviously, academics are the main thing that kind of drive our review process, but it's not just the curriculums that they've taken and the grades that they've received, but also the everything else, whether that be things that support their academic pursuits, having done research or internships. It could also be things that they do in their community, things that they do for their family, working or taking care of younger siblings. It's not one thing necessarily for every student in the applicant pool, but each of those students has what their thing is. And I think that's the thing that really is noteworthy. We spend a lot of time talking about average GPAs and curriculums, and those are the things that are easy to quantify, but it's when our staff dives into individual applications that we really get excited about what it is that those candidates are going to bring to our campus. I think the last thing I would say that is important to remember with this class is that they did kind of start their high school experience in the midst of COVID. And that's something that was something that kind of was apparent in a number of times that we were reviewing students' applications, that they were perhaps not allowed to have the opportunity to begin their high school experience with the support that they needed or in the classroom environment. And it took a lot of work on the part of the admissions staff to understand what that context looked like and to think about how they progressed through the years, that perhaps an overall GPA wasn't indicative of who they were, but instead looking year to year and selecting those who are really kind of hitting their stride and doing their best work yet and will move into campus ready to embrace the academics here.
This is kind of a related question, but I want to refer to your pretty specific and unique perspective. You came here as a student in 2006. You've been in admission for quite a while, so you really understand not only the admission work, but you understand in the context of Providence College. What do you see as some of the key predictors of eventual success at Providence College when you look at applicants?
Sure. Our review process, as I mentioned before, it's driven by the academics. And so we spend more time with the transcript than anything else. And so we talk a lot about what the strength of a student's curriculum is, which we measure based off looking at kind of how much they've taken advantage of what's been offered to them. And so we spend a lot of time trying to understand the schools that they're coming from, what the offerings may be at that school, and then how a student chose to set up their schedule. And so an easy place where that commonly comes into play is with kind of the rigor. So you hear a lot about AP, honors, IB, kind of the level of classes, but also how they've progressed within their curriculum. So thinking about kind of how their math courses have built upon one another, and also how they prepare themselves for their intended major. So if they're thinking about the business school, have they studied economics and advanced math? If they're thinking about nursing, what does that science preparation look like? And so that curriculum, and obviously the way that they've achieved within that curriculum is important. And that's really kind of where it starts. But what we're trying to do is really build a group of students who are going to come to our campus and fit in and be successful. And I think when we think about what the average Providence student, if there is such a thing, brings to the campus, I think they really need to be ready to kind of embrace all aspects of what this college can offer them. And obviously we're doing it for academic reasons, and our students, they work really hard in the classroom, but the quote unquote PC student, they're also looking to engage with the student life side of things. They really are excited about a cause that they're passionate about or a club that they want to take to the next level. They might be really passionate about athletics, competing on the field, or just being in the student section and cheering those students on. They may spend any time they have not in the library at St. Dominic Chapel. And so when we think about the type of student who maybe this isn't necessarily is competitive for admission, but the type of student who does well at Providence, it's the ones that really are looking to take advantage of everything. They're excited about their studies in neuroscience, but they're really excited to see kind of what they do outside of that classroom as well.
This seems to sort of relate to the size of the college in some ways, doesn't it? Because there are actual opportunities to participate in the life of the community. And you referred to specifically clubs and things like that, but that kind of student can find their way here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which brings me to the thought about declaring majors. Coming in undeclared is certainly a very good option for many students and worth considering, but most students do pick a major on the way in. What kinds of trends are you seeing in terms of whether students do declare a major, and if so, which ones?
Sure. So at Providence, it's about 20 to 25% of our incoming students who do so undeclared. Interestingly, in this year's applicant pool, we were up about 13% in students who were choosing the undeclared option. And that is not necessarily something that's surprising for us, and I think it's because of the options that an undeclared student has when they get here. The only program that a student needed to have applied into to then ultimately study is the nursing program. And so our students can go from undeclared to finance. They can go from undeclared to chemistry. They can kind of take those introductory classes and by March of their sophomore year, decide what it is that they want to pursue a full course of study in. So I say this a lot to college counselors as they're visiting our campus. It's a great place to be undeclared. And I think the students who choose that path are really well supported through an advising program that helps them discover where their interests are, where their skills are, what they're going to be good at, and also what they're passionate about. And so you're correct that the amount of students kind of coming in undeclared has declined a little bit through the years. And I think a lot of that comes towards the investment that college brings and needing to kind of connect it to an outcome. But we're fortunate here that our undeclared students, they're really well supported when they show up from the first day in Friartown program all the way to graduation when they discover what sort of postgraduate work or employment they're looking to go into.
And in most cases, there's also the opportunity to change course on the way through. Your story is a perfect example of that. What you changed at least once, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So when I enrolled at Providence, I was a marketing major, and I really enjoyed my studies. In high school, I was thinking I wanted to go into politics, and I thought to do so, you needed to know how to market yourself. And so when I kind of started as a marketing major and we're looking at buyer behavior and audience segmentation, this had nothing to do with political campaigns. So I switched to undeclared and kind of explored some areas. And then one day I was just wandering through Howley Hall, which is the home of the political science department. And one of our professors just started talking to me, asking, who is this random person reading all the bulletin boards? And I thought, all right, maybe political science is the place. By that point, I had kind of given up on the career in politics, but it was a field that I was really interested in. And through the time kind of studying there, actually grew into finding an interest in economic development and how cities are formed. And my senior thesis was actually part of the Ferran Scholars program that the political science department has, looking at how colleges impact the neighborhoods that they're in. And with my advisor, Dr. Camerano, I was starting to look at higher ed as more than just kind of the school that I attended for 4 years and thinking about it as a larger part of our society. And from that, I was also one of our ambassadors, and here I am many years later, still in higher ed.
I remember reading that senior thesis a few years ago. It was very, very good. And by way of example, in proving the notion that you can end up doing almost anything if you come to Providence College and earn a degree, we both have political science degrees from Providence College, and here we are. So yes. You never really know where it will take you, and that's the beauty of this kind of a place in many ways. And this fall this cycle marks the first year that we've had a full year to identify, recruit, and enroll nursing and health sciences students in the new program. What are your observations, what you're seeing in that cohort of applicants?
Yeah, and so this would actually be the first class that we've had kind of the full admission cycle to get the word out about the program as well. So for those who follow PC closely, you probably remember that this program was approved in the fall of 2 years ago, and that's a really limited time to work with prospective students. And so we did kind of have to get the word out quickly and applied, and we have 59 nurses who are on campus right now and doing incredibly well. This class, the class of 2028, is the first ones where we could talk to them about this nursing program that we have when they were juniors in high school and work with them throughout the fall to spread the word about the program. And so the interest is really growing in it. I think there's a number of different things that are kind of attractive. I think the curriculum is a very modern one that has been responsive to kind of the needs of what the nursing field needs now. I think also the faculty that has been hired for our program, the wide range of expertise that they have and the different ways that students can kind of connect their interest in nursing to those professors who will only continue to add more. And then obviously the facility that's coming on the way will take it to a whole nother level with the Mondor Center. And so for nursing and health sciences, we've seen a great increase in the number of applications. And so I think we've been given the opportunity to choose those students who are incredibly accomplished, but also a good fit for what a Providence nursing and health science education would offer a student.
And just a little more detail on that facility, the Ben Mondor Center for Nursing and Health Sciences on the site of the former Fennell Hall on East Campus will open in January of next year. So in just a few months, you'll be able to take prospective students through a spectacular state-of-the-art facility, which I'm sure will be helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one last thing that is just kind of interesting about nursing is we talked about kind of the undeclared program and how a Providence student often kind of changes their interests and moves around. Working with students interested in nursing has been a really exciting and different experience for many of us in the admission office because they're students who in some ways almost feel a calling towards that field. It's almost vocational for them in that they know they want to be nurses. And through their application, they've shared with us the reasons why they feel that way, the preparation that they've made for those programs. And so we fully expect that our nursing students will add on second majors in classics or in marketing, in health policy. They will do that and they'll explore the wide range of minors, but I think compared to many of the programs that we have here, they are committed to nursing for all 4 years. And it's been a really exciting thing to have a part of our conversations in the admission committee.
And also interesting is the programming in health sciences, which opens up a variety of avenues for careers in health sciences and in the healthcare field. So there's a lot of interest in that and a lot of possibility for prospective students.
There is, yeah. We have always been a good option for students who are looking into healthcare, but I think now that they have a program that offers a number of different pathways towards those fields, we're going to be kind of even more attractive and provide even better preparation for those students. And health sciences is as versatile a program as we have on campus. Students can use it for a path towards some of the things that you may expect when you think about kind of allied health. So going to be physical therapists or physician's assistants, but also a number of them want to go into epidemiology and public health. Others want to go more kind of an academic route. And so it's a great curriculum that through the study of anatomy and physiology, biology and chemistry, all with the lens of kind of the healthcare environment will set them up to be quite successful in kind of whatever pathway it is that they choose.
And of course, a defining characteristic of these programs here at PC, similar to the business programs, is that these fields of study are rooted in the core curriculum, development of Western civilization, so students will not only get this specific kind of training in these career fields, but it's all built on that liberal arts foundation.
Right.
Which is a beautiful thing. So let's talk a little bit more about the class of 2028. More specifically, this is the largest applicant pool the PC's ever had, breaking a record set just last year. So what do you attribute what appears to be a growing interest in the college?
So certainly the new majors that the college has lent itself to the applicant pool growing. And we talked about nursing and health sciences, but also adding programs in neuroscience, Black studies, Catholic studies, and liturgical music. Though they have varying kind of degrees of enrollment, I think all of them have really kind of caused some buzz to indicate that Providence it's an institution that's growing, that's continuing to respond to what students are looking for. And all of those majors are going a long way in making that case. I think another thing is just the college's national reputation. As we continue to kind of find students who are a good fit for the Providence experience, but maybe haven't heard of us, that's something that continues to kind of grow in interest. Certainly in specific pockets of the country, we're seeing a great deal of success with that. And then lastly, I think it's just that whenever we're traveling and talking with prospective students, one of the things that I hear more than anything else is that Providence has a great reputation. I'll talk to perhaps a parent of a prospective student who has no familiarity with Providence except maybe a coworker's child went there or something. And I hear quite frequently, everyone seems to love that place, or everyone seems very kind of satisfied with their experience. And I think the members of our community are some of the best storytellers for us. So as kind of alums or parents of current students get the word out about PC, we're only going to see this momentum continue to grow.
Diversity is something that's very important to all of us at Providence College. In fact, it's a stated strategic priority. What can you tell us about diversity recruitment efforts in the current day's context? I'm thinking in part in context of last summer's Supreme Court decisions.
Sure, absolutely. So we're fortunate this year to have one of the most racially and ethnically diverse applicant pools in college history. And that was through a lot of kind of intentional effort on the part of not just the admissions staff, but really college-wide to continue to kind of commit to efforts to diversify our campus environment. And so there's a few places where you can see kind of this work happening and the results soon to follow. I think our recruitment travel in the fall took a very different approach as we re-emphasized visiting community-based organizations. We used large amounts of data to look for high schools where maybe the word about Providence wasn't getting to them, but there were students who were a great fit for our community. We also did a number of different kind of marketing and recruitment approaches to really get the word out about Providence and let students know that it is an option that is a good academic fit, that can be affordable, and that will be a good option to include on their college list. I think more broadly, you'll also see a number of investments from the college. The Cristo Rey Scholarship that was announced last year and that we have 28 students who have received it this year is a great example of that. Cristo Rey is a network that is incredibly aligned with the Catholic and Dominican mission of the college, even though it did start as a Jesuit network, but those students are a great fit for here. And so to be able to add significant scholarship opportunities as well as meet their full demonstrated need, that has been a big part of our diversity recruitment. And then next year, we'll look to join the Posse network. And that foundation has done quite a bit to help students who may not otherwise have access to a four-year education access those types of institutions. It's really an elite list of member institutions, and we're quite fortunate that they looked favorably upon our application for it and excited about the cohort or posse of students that we'll have joining us from New Orleans next year.
Let's talk about the admission timeline. So the application decisions have just been sent mid-March here, and we're past early admission, early decision, so it's really a long process to build this pool of students who will decide whether to enroll here in the fall. What's next? So from admission professionals' perspective, what do you do in the next few weeks and months?
Sure. So this is kind of the difficult part of our calendar, where we're having a number of conversations with people who are at different stages of the process. And so we have lots and lots of high school juniors who are chomping at the bit to start their college search. And you probably see the tours as you're walking around campus of juniors who are just they've heard good things about Providence and they want to know a little bit more, but they're very kind of introductory conversations. And so we are greeting them and welcoming them and sharing some information with them. And then in a complete opposite place, we have all of the seniors, our admitted students who have done their research on Providence. They got to the point where they wanted to apply, and then we invited them to join our community. And they are kind of doing some of their final bits of research, kicking the tires, if you will, to learn more deeply about what exactly our creative writing program can offer them, to understand what the different housing options are, where the internships in their area may be. And so very different conversations, both very important though. And so we're excited about what the next couple months will bring as we finalize those who will choose to join us for the class of 2028 and look forward to the 2029 and even the class of 2030 who are already touring our campus. And so for admitted students, we have a number of different options. Obviously, Admitted Student Day is the big one where all of campus shows up and we welcome hundreds of admitted students, but we're also offering shadowing programs through our Friar for a Day program. We have admitted student tours several times a week, as well as, speaking of diversity recruitment, our night in Friartown diversity overnight as well, which will take place at the end of April.
To add a little flavor to the description of the process, you and your colleagues have just been through a period of time where you've gone through a gigantic number of applications. Take us into that room a little bit. What's the process like? How does it actually work mechanically when you're working your way through that part of the process?
Sure. So our process starts actually just with the one individual who's responsible for the territory. So personally, I'm responsible for New Hampshire, Minnesota, and Western Massachusetts. And so
there's a combination. Okay.
It's quite a mix. I've had Minnesota since I started at the college, and the same with New Hampshire. And then I'm originally from Western Mass, so a nice way to build a trip home. But the process starts kind of with the counselor who's responsible for your area, and they do all of the academic review. So I mentioned before about kind of assigning the strength of curriculum, and we recalculate all of the GPAs. So we will never look at the GPA that's printed on a transcript. All of that kind of academic prep work is done just by one counselor. And then kind of the whole committee process starts, where every file is going to be read by at least two, but usually three, and for about a quarter of our files, all of us, breaking up into smaller rooms and going through files and making selections, making really difficult choices oftentimes. Though the college has been kind of growing in the last few years and will welcome 1,250 first-year students this fall, we could have a much larger college and still kind of have plenty of interest in students who are qualified for admission. So it's oftentimes that we have to make difficult decisions in deciding who to admit. And it's a lot of work to go through over 12,500 applications. But I think one of the things that we particularly kind of pride ourselves in our process is that every student does have a thorough review, that one counselor, but oftentimes 2, 3, 4 of us have spent the time to read their application, to understand their essay, to look at everything that they've shared with us, read the endorsements and recommendations of those who have written on their behalf, and ultimately make the decision that we think that they have earned throughout the last 4 years.
Well, this is a lot of work, as you indicated, Owen, and I'm sure you and your colleagues in admission are really looking forward to the day when these students walk through the door and we welcome them as friars next fall. So thank you so much for all you do. We are grateful for that, and thank you for your time today and for sharing all these insights. We'll have to do some more of this sometime because there's a lot to explore here in the work that you and everybody else in admission and financial aid do to find, recruit, and enroll Providence College students.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on to share a little bit about our process. I think one of the things that we're really thankful for and fortunate in our office is that it's not hard work to enroll this class each year. We work very hard, but if you tell the Providence College story and you help students understand what this place can do for them for the next 4 years, it's it's one of the most enjoyable parts. And obviously you and your colleagues in marketing communications help us tremendously with that. So I'm thankful to be able to have shared just a little bit about it, and certainly welcome future conversations as well.
Sounds good. Our guest today, Owen Bligh. And thank you for joining us. For our producers, Chris Judge and Ryan Henowich, I'm Joe Carr. Have a good day.